So this is the 17-1A video. This is our first look at percents, markup, discounts, and tax. On these problems, the key is the setup and the organization. So this is all work that you've done before. You are going to get to use calculators on these when you take the tests. The focus is not on can you multiply decimals, but can you apply places where you have to multiply decimals. So let's start out, and what I'd always suggest you do first is take your percentages and turn them into decimals. Because when you plug it into your calculator, you're going to use decimals. You're not going to use percentages. All right, so now that we've made those changes, let's see what we're actually doing here. It says Madison bought a new smartphone on sale for 20% off the regular price of $160. She paid an 8% sales tax on the discounted price. And that's another important thing to make sure. Do you understand how the things are being set up? This is the tax, 8% sales tax on the discounted price, not the $160. That's a common mistake. So let's go ahead and start getting some information into our problem. She has a $160 phone, and she is saving 20%. So here's the first time we're going to use one of those. Now you'll notice I wrote it up here as 0.20. I wrote it here as 0.2. Those are the same thing. In fact, one of the things we've talked about in class is recognizing when you've got a 0 that's not a placeholder. The 0 after the 2 is not a placeholder 0. So we don't have to include it when we come down here. So let's bring our calculator in, and we're going to do 160 times 0.2. You can see that right up in our display. 160 times 0.2 equals 160 times 0.2 equals 32. So let's put that 32 in the problem. And let's make sure we recognize what all of these parts are. So this 0.2, that is the discount rate. The 32 is the savings. And the 160 is the original price. I'm just going to call that the original. All right, our next step needs to be to take the $160 and subtract the 32. So we bring over the original price, we bring up the savings, and we do that subtraction. So 0 take away 2, that's an 8. We'd have to borrow from the 6, so it's a 5 now. 5 minus 3 is 2. And we have $128. That $128 is the discount price. It's helpful if you use the same labels that they use in the problem. So discount price. Actually, they call it discounted, so I'll make that discounted price. We're going to bring over that discounted price, 128, and we are going to multiply it by the sales tax, 0.08. So let's pop back to our calculator. Let's clear everything out. 128 times 0.08, we can see our work right up there, is 10.24. That's $10.24. So $10.24. Let's put our calculator, let's put it down here temporarily. All right, let's label again. Now on the test, you don't have to label to get credit, but it sure helps organize your work sometimes. So this is the tax rate. This is the tax itself. And so our last step, we're going to bring over the discounted price. We're going to bring up, and in fact, I'm going to put that with some decimals this time, because we're going to bring up the tax, and we're going to add it. And since it has decimals in it, we're going to put decimals in the 128. So we have the $128. We add the tax. You always add. One of the common mistakes I've seen is students subtracting the tax because they subtracted the discount. Yep, you always have to add the tax. So 4, 2, 8, 2 and 1 make 3, 1, $138.24 is the final cost. That's what Madison is going to pay, $138.24. All right, so review this. Go back and look at your week 17 test. That's what this came out of, is the first shot at 17. And then look at some of the additional 17.1 videos if you need to. Remember, if you didn't do well on the 17 concepts through the 3 regular test opportunities, you can still come in and do an intervention on that.